Well, from the practical point of view, looking back in these 20 years, I think the most critical aspect was to assess the competence and the proficiency of the nurses and the doctors, because formation, the education of the team is the basic of it all. I mean, if you don't have a properly trained people, then the whole team, vascular access team, has no reason to exist. So it must be clear in the mind of the coordinator of the hospital management and the people who lead the team that the most important thing is that you have people who are enthusiastic, okay, which are dedicated, okay, but also which are specifically trained. And that this training has a content and has a form and a structure. The content must be the best evidence available for the safety of the patient and the cost effectiveness of the maneuver, which means that you must be trained to what is really evidence-based to be safe and cost-effective, such as ultrasound or intracavitary electrocardiography, or if we talk about maintenance, about the use of 2% correction in alcohol or the maximal barrier precaution. I mean, the glue. You must have a solid content, an updated content. And in terms of structure, the training should not be done casually, but should be done by those evidence-based recommendation of the walkover consensus, which tells us that every time you do a training, there is also a manner for a particular pathway of education that you should follow. For instance, first theory, then practice in the lab on simulator, and then a tutored learning curve, and then a non-tutored learning curve, and then a final audit. And sometimes it's difficult to make the hospital management understand that this is the basis of all. Well, I think this implies a change of mentality. If we think that we are there for the patient, that the reason of being there in a team, of being in the hospital, is for the sake of the patient and not just for our career, and then everything becomes easier. If you have different doctors and different nurses which don't particularly like each other or have different opinions, etc., then the moment that you sit down and you make everyone understand that we are there for the patient to choose the best thing, then all this particularly non-altruistic aptitude should fall. And I think in this case, in this aspect, the role of the team leader is very important, because the team leader is the one who acts like a glue, who gives the tuning of the whole group, who makes the whole group understand that it's not a question of ambition or prevailing one or the other, or to have probably the correct pride of their own profession, but those things are secondary if we think of the benefit of the patient. Yes. Well, they should sing that old song by Ken Hit, "Let's Work Together." We start with the line, united we stand, divided we fall, because that's the whole thing about it. The more you have a different profession inside the group, the more the team it becomes solid and defendable, and also the more it's probable that we will grow culturally. And thinking about the profession, I'm not referring exclusively to doctors and nurses, but also the pharmaceuticals people, for instance, the hospital management people. They all are part of a different profession, which are whose goal is to get the best possible for the patient. So I think that l'union fait la force.